ba 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 ba
Oh
ba
shit.
ba 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 ba.
I'm not gonna lie, you dead ass made my mic shake with how intently you were doing that. That's crazy.
It's
Um,
intense, man. Wicked's intense.
it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here with a bonus episode for the month with our Wicked for good review. Um, we our last actual episode, or not last episode, actually yeah, our last episode was our Wicked review, which was our normal monthly review. Um, and we wanted to come in with a bonus review because I mean we kind of just do this anytime we see like a movie together that we're waiting for, whether it was Superman, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. So that's going to continue to be a thing. So yeah, we're back here with a little bonus episode for the month for Wicked for Good. We just saw it, what, two days ago
Two
at
nights
this
ago.
point?
Yeah, something
Two
like
nights
that.
ago. So yeah, I got my little setup here. I got a little, excuse me, I got my scarecrow back there, and I got my hat cup. So yeah, yeah. All right. How do we want to start this? We did do an out of theater review.
We did.
Not gonna lie, off rip, this was not as good as the first one. This was not as good as the first one.
I've actually
Not.
lowered my score considerably since the out of theater review.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, our out of theater review, I did kind of glaze it a little bit in the beginning, but then as I've thought about it more, it is kind of it has gone down a little bit for me. Yeah, like you said in the review that we did right when we left, that like it wasn't even close, and I agree now. Like it's not even close to the first one. The first one is, but here's the thing: as somebody like you don't know like the stage production, right? This was like your first real
Right, right.
introduction to Wicked was these movies. Whereas I like this was like the first real musical I ever like saw as a kid and stuff like that. So I've grown up with this musical, and this musical means a lot to me and my family. Um, and even then, as a kid, up until now, I've always favored the first half of the musical to the second half of the actual stage musical because to me, my favorite part of the whole thing is Defying Gravity, and to me, there's nothing that can top Defying Gravity. To me, no good deed is a second. It comes very close, but it's still not Defying Gravity, and that's how I feel about the stage production. But that's how I feel about the movies as well. I love No Good Deed. It's a banger. It really hits. It's really for the character it makes so much sense because now it's finally Alphaba at the end of like her straw here and finally understanding that no matter what she does, like she can't do anything right. So I do love it, but yeah, nothing could top Defying Gravity.
Right. When we were doing our out of the theater review, you asked me what was my favorite song in the musical, and I legitimately couldn't give you an answer. Not because
Mm.
there was no like, just it was like a difficult decision. It's just like I really forgot like most of the music. Like, I had to go back yesterday and listen through the whole soundtrack just to be like, oh yeah, that song happened. I forgot about that. There's really only like
Mm.
a few songs really that are kind of memorable to me. It was really like um, "No Good Deeds" is obviously memorable one. That's obviously
Mm.
probably the biggest song of this entire musical. "For Good" at the very end, that was an emotional one for sure. I personally enjoyed "Wonderful" a lot, just because it
Mm.
had that old like Disney jazzy show tune kind of vibe to it. That's right up
Right.
my alley. But other than that, I really couldn't tell you most of the songs that happened in that movie. Those are like the only ones I
Yeah.
could really think of off the top of my head.
Um. Yeah. And we're gonna obviously go through everything and go through this whole thing. We're not spoiler or not spoiler. Forewarning. I mean. We both me and Theo have horrible memories, so when it comes to like scene by scene, I don't know if we're going scene by scene because it's hard to remember a whole movie that you saw. And I tried to look online, and there's not really like a full kind of like breakdown. So we're mainly gonna go. I have the album here. We're gonna kind of go like song by song, and what scenes that are in between and stuff like that is what we'll kind of like chime in when we can think about them. But yeah, let's dive into the actual movie. So we start off with the same kind of vintage like Universal esque logo with Madame Morrible. It's kind of like audio of like the events of the first movie, kind of replaying and stuff like that.
Right.
And then we go into Every Day More Wicked, which is it's similar to No One Mourns the Wicked, but it's its own thing. But it definitely had kind of a reprise esque vibe to it. It's not No One Mourns the Wicked though. That is the superior opening song
Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure. Yeah. Thank goodness / couldn't be happier. That wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad. I thought Ariana did a pretty good job. and that's
Oh,
where
that's the
we
one
kind
where
of
she's like in Munchkin Land and she's got Fiero
yeah.
next to her and Morable's like
Mhm.
kind of like narrating the whole. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Right. But before that, we do get a little action scene in the beginning of the movie here with Elphaba, where they're forcing these kind of ox-esque animals to like make the yellow brick road and whatnot, and Elphaba kind of comes through and kicks a little bit of ass, which I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense that they put that there. They needed to put that there to kind of kickstart the movie and give a little bit of action, but it didn't really do anything. I wasn't like when we were watching it and she was doing it. I did look over at Wyatt, and Wyatt was like he was getting excited, and I didn't really feel that. I was just like, okay, like all right, yeah. I mean, I get it. She's beating their ass because like they're kind of abusing the animals here, but it didn't really do too much for me with that.
I disagree. I maybe me and White were in the same boat here, but maybe we're just not like. Maybe it's just because like we don't have much experience with like the original like production or anything like that. But like I was fucking with that scene because I was like, this is a great way to like start the movie, get me like into it and stuff like that, and it still is like aligned with her goals of like trying to help save the animals and stuff like that. So it kind of helps reestablish that whole motive, which is like a big character motive for her. So I was kind of fucking with it, and it was just
Yeah.
like a great like shot scene in general too, because like there was like all the flying around stuff. There's like the suspense when she finally shows up right in the beginning, and like the shadows flying overhead, and everybody's looking around like, oh shit, the air has changed around here. What's going on?
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we're up in Munchkin Land. We got Thank Goodness, and I couldn't be happier. Yeah, that's okay. It's not like a banger, but I would put it on. I would listen to it. It's not like the worst out of this whole thing.
To me, it's more of like, it's there for narrative and to help reestablish the story more than anything else.
Right.
I don't think it's like that much of like a, yeah, this is a banger song that I want to like jam out to, but it's just like, it's there to help set up the story and help keep it going along pretty much.
Right. In here we have. I don't even know if you knew this because you don't like you aren't familiar with the original musical, but there's two songs in this that are not in the actual musical. So our first one here, "No Place Like Home," where she's singing to the animals, that's a brand new song for the movie. That's not in the production. But I actually really like that song. I thought it was a really good song. It was really good.
Again, it helps reestablish that character motive, and it's definitely like a very like emotional song. And obviously, all the animals are like coming around and being like, "Oh,
Right.
okay, she's trying to help us out. She's trying to like be like the forefront to helping us get our lives back here in our home because
Right.
she's going through the exact same shit as we are."
I'm forgetting the name of the bear, like her nanny, but
Oh,
Dulce Bear, Dulce Bear, that's her
Dulce
name.
Bear, yes. Yeah.
When she rolled up, that it was emotional for me. I almost started crying low key. Just to see, I guess, like that connection, that kind of familial connection. And honestly, Dulce Bear is the only being in Elphaba's whole life that has accepted her and cared for her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so seeing Dulce Bear come back and you know and kind of reunite with her was pretty emotional for me. I really enjoyed that, and seeing the animals listen to her, and then fuck ass cowardly lion coming through to ruin it all.
Dude.
Not only did he cut off the high note, but then he also was just like spreading the propaganda, man.
So Cowardly Lion is my favorite character from the original Wizard of Oz movie, and I was very excited to see how they were going to do him in this movie.
If I were king of the forest.
Dude, it's so good. I just listened to that song on the way home today, and I was like, this is fucking great.
That's hilarious.
They hyped this man up so much, and they got such a great actor to play him.
Yeah.
And he only has 2 fucking lines in the whole
Two
movie.
lines.
And those lines are pretty much just shutting down everything that Elphaba is trying to do, like, instantaneously. And it's
Right.
just like, it's also like fucking almost like Stockholm Syndrome, where it's like he's complaining about how he freed her from this cage, or she freed him from the cage, my apologies.
Right.
But
Right.
And it's just like, you've been living this and are complaining about this, and none of the animals around you told you, hey, that's not actually how that works. She probably just saved your life right there.
Right.
This is insane.
Or at least saved you from a life of captivity.
Right, exactly. Like, you can speak now because of what she did. You should be thanking her
Right.
more than anything else.
Right. I did like when the flying monkeys get there during this scene, and
Dude,
they
Shisui stole the show. He stole the
Hell yeah,
show
man.
from me. This whole movie
Hell yeah.
in general.
yeah, I did like how obviously they're the wizard spies and they're supposed to capture her, but instead, and you see it physically. You see one monkey start proceeding forward, and Chistry does the no, wait, let her cook. I fucked with that because that obviously we end up seeing where Chistry ends up, so it's like it makes kind of sense that he was already kind of on Elphaba's side a little bit, even though he couldn't be, you know. So
Right.
that was cool to see.
It also definitely helps like establish like why the flying monkeys go from the wizard to working with her in like the Wizard of Oz in one night.
Right,
It's very good
right.
setup. Yeah.
We got the Wicked Witch of the East, which is funny because this this is
I
also
forgot
a
this was
song. So
this was a thing.
this is in obviously like this is in Wicked like in the musical, but it's not on the album because it's like a very short song. So it's not on the album or anything like that. So there's no like you can't really listen to it unless you find like a recording of it or whatever. So Wicked fans have clamored for years to have a version of Wicked Witch of the East that they can listen to. And I've seen Wicked fans online just being like, and it's that? Like, that's the version that we get after waiting like 20 years? So, yeah, people are not too
Sorry,
happy
Wicked
about that.
fans. Sorry, Wicked fans. I
But I
imagine
will
they're
say,
probably not too happy about a lot of things with this movie.
but I will say, I did like that scene though. I did like Elphaba being there with Nessa Rose and trying to help her. So in the musical too, um, in the musical, she helps her walk, right? Like she transforms the shoes to make it so that she can walk.
Right.
And the actress gets up out of the chair and walks. But that's the thing is that normally the person that plays Nessa Rose is not a handicapped person. They just put them in the chair. Whereas in here, I think Marissa Bodie is her name, is actually like wheelchair bound. So people were also intrigued to see how they were going to do that because she can't actually walk. So it's like, were they going to like CGI her being able to walk? So I think the ability to make her fly was a good choice
It was
because
a good
like
call for sure. Yeah.
yeah, if they were gonna try and make her walk with like CGI or something, it would have looked bad. But also, I feel like that would have been like a little disrespectful in a way.
Right. Yeah. For
So
sure.
making her like fly was the good call. Especially the way it looked with the red shoes. I do believe that happens in the musical where the shoes do kind of like turn red, for a second or whatever. So that's really cool. And then we get really from my point of view we get our first really big moment of the movie. We get the Tin Man transformation. Bach storms in once he realizes that Glinda is getting married. Storms in and is gonna tell Nessa Rose that he's out of here. Which earlier in the movie we forgot to talk about. He does do that. He does say he's leaving. He needs to go, and she's like, yeah, go ahead. And then we see once he gets to the train station that so she was gonna sign a bill that said animals needed a permit to travel, then lets him leave, and then obviously we could see that when he we don't see it, but when he leaves, she modifies the bill to being animals and people in Munchkin Land also need a permit to travel. So when he gets to the train station, he's not allowed to travel, so his only choice is to go back and go back to being her little servant.
That was honestly like the fucking like. First off, this bitch is so petty. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Secondly, like, you realistically have to think about this. Like, you just banned traveling
yeah,
for all of your fucking people. You're the governor
right,
of Munchkinland, and you were just like, yeah, no one's actually allowed to leave. You're all supposed to stay here for the rest of your lives now. That's my call because
right,
my ex-boyfriend wanted to leave me. Fucking
right.
crazy.
Yeah. So then, so he comes back in and he's finally just going to confront her and say, I don't love you and I'm leaving. Which, him having this fixation on Glinda really does not make any sense to me. No, I don't want to say it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's hard to believe because in the first movie, she doesn't even give him the time of day. She politely directs him into another way when he tries to kind of hit on her a little bit. And that's really all we ever see. That's the only time we ever see them actually interact. There's this one scene where he physically is introducing himself and then gets turned down. Now, in this movie, we do see flashbacks from time to time of the core kind of group all hanging out. So, and we do know that Wicked for Good, there is time that has passed. So, you could say within that time and the times that they were friends and stuff, that maybe they did get to know each other a little bit. But you also you can't because it's like if you do it that way, he really set himself up for failure if they became friends, but he was still continuously falling in love with her while she was with Fierro. So it's like You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of far fetched a little bit, but
Bach to me is more than anything in terms of like his relationship with Glinda is just like an obsessive fan. That's kind of how
right,
I've always just kind of viewed Bach.
right. Sadly,
Because he's usually just like whenever he's like outside of like their one interaction, whenever he's like watching Glinda, he's usually watching it with a group of people who are also watching Glinda at the same time, fanboying
Right.
or fangirling over her at the same time. So that's really just what Bach is to me in that sense.
right. So yeah, he's gonna profess his love and go find Glinda, and he da 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 da. He realizes Elphaba's there and is like, standoffish or whatever, and he tells her. Nesrose says, "Nope, you're gonna lose your heart to me," and she goes to the Grimmery and starts casting a spell that she knows nothing about. Elphaba yells out, "You're saying the words all wrong. Stop!" And then Bach, in what was a really kind of not badass moment character wise, but from a film perspective, was such a cool moment to see him go, "I'm leaving," and then like almost like the force kicked in. He was like, and like stopped, and you hear like a thud, and he steps back and grabs his chest, and my mom goes, "He's having a heart attack." Meanwhile, he's going, "It feels something. Like heart is shrinking." So I'm like, "Well, no, I mean that's technically not a heart attack, but um, so yeah, basically,
I cast cardiac arrest.
yeah. I transform your heart into not working state. That's what the Grimmery is saying. Yeah. So then, now the worst part about Nessa Rose too is that she does this shit where she'll do something and go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just like the Grimmery. It like flips through the pages and it stops on 2 pages, and there's just 2 pictures of a heart and a stop sign.
Yeah. So yeah, Nazarose does this a few times where she fucks up, and then just immediately blames Elphaba, and yells at her to stop it. And Elphaba's like, "You can't stop a spell from the Grimmery once it's cast." So Elphaba has to figure out another spell to kind of stop it, and kind of kicks Nesrose out of the room, which was cool because so in the theater, you like see the transformation, but you don't in a way, but like it's kind of
like little quick shots of like
right.
metal kind of like attaching to him nearby.
Well, yeah, in the movie, yeah, in the like production, the stage production, he kind of like sits in a chair, and like he grabs his chest and like falls back in this chair, and he kind of like blacks out, like it kind of blacks away from him while they're like arguing and stuff like that. And then obviously while they're arguing is when like they're starting to put the Tin Man, like the crew is putting the Tin Man stuff on him, and then he pops out of the chair and he's like the Tin Man or whatever. So I thought they did it very well with the, because it's hard to like fully show somebody transforming because they do the same thing with Fiyero. I thought it was really good, especially the shot of like his hand and you see the metal like wrapping around his like hand and stuff like that was really good. So I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a great job with that. And then I thought it was hilarious when it's all done and Elphaba comes out of the room and she just goes, "He's sleeping now." I thought that was great. I'm like,
that's
sure.
a wild thing to say. That's a wild
Right.
thing to say. That sounds like what you would say when you're like pet dies and then your parents have to come out. He's like, "Oh yeah, he's sleeping right now.
Right.
He'll be fine." But
Right.
my favorite part of this whole like transformation scene is when when Elphaba finally leaves to go like confront the wizard and all that, and
Yeah.
Nessa's calling out to him, and he starts like breaking down the door with the axe, and
Yeah.
and it like finally gets revealed like the full form. I'm like, this was dope.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe this is a Wyatt problem, even though we love Wyatt. It from time to time we'll go see a movie, but especially here, it was a little hard to concentrate sometimes because, i.e., like this happened twice, and this was the first time ever where Tin Man comes out, and I thought they did a great job. He doesn't look like Ethan Slater at all, and thought they did a great job. But then from the right side of my ear, I just hear Wyatt dying laughing, and I'm like, well, this just completely took me out of the movie because I thought it looked great, but clearly he thinks it's a meme. But I thought they did a great job.
I will say in this case, you are right, but in the case of Scarecrow, you can't be right about that.
I mean, yeah, he was Ryan Reynolds. I didn't laugh, but that's because I had already seen that photo before we saw. Like I had seen what he looked like before we saw the movie, so like I laughed in my room like a couple days before when I saw it. But yeah, with the Tin Man, I thought they did a great job. So when Wyatt was like dying of laughter, I'm like, I don't think it's funny. I think it looks great. So
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I didn't really find it. Not that I didn't find it funny, but it's just like they did just do a really good job because it looks nothing like him at all.
right, right. Yeah, and then he storms out. The run, if anything, the run was kind of funny. He was running kind of
The
funny.
run was a bit, but I mean, you can't really make it not look funny. He's the Tin
Right.
Man. It's just gonna.
And
Look
he's got like literally like twig legs almost. Like he has like Jack Schneider legs.
that
You know what I'm
to me
saying?
was like the best part. First off, fuck you. Second off, that was like to me like my favorite part of that whole like costume design is like how they made like the legs like and especially like the joints look like so thin and whatnot compared to like the rest of the body. I was like, that's actually like
Yeah.
really good costume design right there.
Yeah. And like we don't really see him too often, so you can't really pay too much attention to him. But like if you do look up close to the actual costume, it's not just like metal. You can see parts and pieces. Like his ears or whatever are like
Right.
teapot handles and stuff like that. So it's really cool and whatnot. They did a great job with his costume for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so he runs away, and again I'm blanking on like the scenes in between here. I'm really blanking.
He runs away after about almost killing Nessa in her own chair.
Right.
After Nessa's like, no, it wasn't me. It was the Wicked Witch of the West. It was my sister. She did this to you, even though
Right.
you were trying to kill him like 2 minutes ago. So I don't know why the fuck.
So the wedding.
You're innocent there.
The wedding is about to begin. Elphaba leaves Munchkinland and goes straight to Emerald City, and she's gonna I don't know. Her plan is not to stop the wedding or anything like that. What it seems, she just wanted to see Glinda. Contrary to what Nessa Rose was saying you're only going there to try and stop this from happening or whatever. You're going there to get Fiero, but she really doesn't. She goes there, and it seemed like her pure intent was just to see her friend on her wedding day. Because we have that scene where it was in the trailers where Glinda goes out on the balcony and says, Elphaba, I know you're out here. Come in before the monkeys find you and stuff. And they just have a really nice moment because this is the first time we see them together in the movie. This is their reunion, and it was a very sweet moment, a very touching moment, and no real animosity. It's just very like kind of sweet, and they kind of laugh a little bit and whatnot. And Glinda's still trying to get her to just let this go and be a part of the Emerald City and stuff like that. But Elphaba's not really fucking with it. But she does kind of stumble upon the wizard, which I thought in a character sense I was like, well, that's a bad
She doesn't
idea.
really stumble upon the wizard. She goes and confronts the wizard.
Right. No, yeah. But I'm like, that's still kind of crazy because it's like you're supposed to be hiding from this guy. So what's the purpose of going and finding him to where like you don't know what's gonna happen when you roll in there. You don't know if he's got 20 guards already sitting. You know what I'm saying? So kind of wild, but we have to tell a story, so it makes sense. Hi Dolly, how you doing? Yeah, so she goes and finds the wizard and confronts him and whatnot, and then Glinda appears and she's like, yes, let's figure this out. And then Theo's favorite song kicks in. Wonderful. I'll let you take the reins.
Wonderful. I really liked it. It had that very old show tune-esque vibe, the kind of almost like Disney movie vibe, like Peter Pan and whatnot. Had some, like, nice 50s fun jazz and whatnot. And that's like my bread and butter. So I'm like, yeah, obviously that's good. And obviously Jeff Goldblum. You can't go wrong with Jeff Goldblum. He really was one of my more favorite characters in this movie, even though in terms of like his true motivations for why he does the things he does, I'm still very much so confused on, because it's like he's like reinstating or reinforcing his like character drive of like, I want all of like Oz to kind of be like my family because I don't have a family of my own. But it's also just like, then why the fuck are you kicking like half the people out just because of animals?
This dog is trying to sit on a blanket with a headset on it. It's pretty funny to watch. But I'm listening to you. I got a little distracted, but I'm listening.
No, I like see her like staring at you, and I'm like,
yeah,
she's the cowardly lion of dogs. That's what she is.
Yeah. Yeah, it had a very, very Disney heavy vibe for sure. To the point where I said it to you, in the theater where they literally did get on a ride. It did literally transforms into like a Disney ride, which I'm interested because I was watching this interview with John Chu, the director, today, and he was saying how originally, I don't know if this is like a carryover or if this was always the plan, but originally in the first movie, the whole uh the whole like them getting to Emerald City and the Wizzlemania and all that stuff when they first get there in the first movie was actually supposed to be a theme park ride. Like it was going to be like a whole kind of like theme park ride. So I wonder if when they scrapped that idea, if they carried that over into Wonderful a little bit, or if that was always the plan. That it's kind of interesting to think because yeah,
I
they
feel like they probably did carry it over into Wonderful because he does very much so well, like represent kind of like that, almost like Walt Disney sort of vibe where he's like, I
right
want to just make
whimsical,
this giant fun land of whimsy
right,
and whatnot, and that's pretty much just what Emerald City kind of is. So it's like I feel like he gives off that vibe for sure.
right. So yeah, they put some broomsticks together, which I've seen very many people also also try and say that was a symbolism for them being gay because it's like they like the brooms like scissor.
It is. We said this in the theater.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The brooms kind of interlink, and and then not only do they interlink, but they interlink, and then it immediately just shows the both of them sitting on top of said brooms. So
Yeah.
maybe it was John Chu having a little bit of a laugh. But yeah, then they go on this whole kind of almost like dark ride thing of them on the swing and all the colors change and all that stuff, and then they end up in the room with the head and stuff like that, and that's where the song kind of finishes off. And yeah, Elphaba kind of takes the deal. She sets her boundaries of what she wants out of this situation and what needs to happen, and the wizard says deal. Yeah, again in the musical, in the production, like the stage production, Glinda is not a part of this scene. It's just Elphaba and the wizard. And John Chu, I actually fully agree with this. John Chu said in, maybe it was the same interview, he said they changed that and added Glinda because to him, the only way Glinda, or the only way that Elphaba would possibly ever think of taking like this deal was if Glinda was involved. Because she already doesn't,
Yeah.
she doesn't trust the wizard at all. So why would she agree to something with the wizard? Whereas now you take her best friend and put her in there, and her best friend is saying, "Come on, come do this. It's gonna be okay." Then you have a reason for Elphaba to say, "Okay, maybe this will be okay." So I think that was a good call.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. That then kind of leads into the whole scene of like her getting like the start of her end of the deal and like freeing like
Right.
Mystery and all the flying monkeys. And
Right. The wizard literally says, "You want me to prove myself? Well, let me prove myself." And they walk over to this little kind of tower-esque thing with the monkeys all being like, "What's up?" you gonna open that door or what? So
I kind of want to go now. I can
Yeah.
fly up, but I don't want to fly up that way. I want to fly up.
Right. Yeah, it looked open at the top. That's what I said in the theater. I'm like, why would they not just fly up? But yeah, so Elphaba, the wizard gives her the key to open this little window door thing, and she opens it, and the monkeys are free. So the monkeys all leave, except for one. Well, he does leave, but he kind of comes back. Our boy History returns. But I believe before that, doesn't she ask him before he leaves? Doesn't she ask him if he could speak? And he kind of tries for a second.
He tries, but he's not.
He can't do it.
Not-
And then he leaves, and then the rest of the monkeys follow suit. But then he returns, and the wizard, before he returns, the wizard goes, well, big wedding. We're about to go make this big announcement of how I'm a fucking fraud. So I might as well go get spiffied up. So the wizard leaves, and History comes back and kind of points her in the direction of this giant kind of painting, and then he kind of goes and nudges it over so it reveals that it's like a secret door, to which Elphaba then goes, all right, let me go investigate what that is. And what does she find? She finds the wizard's personal zoo.
bunch of caged animals. And this was another
Yes.
shot that I really liked. It was like the side-by-side shot of Elphaba going down into this dark, decrepit basement to find all these like caged up animals to realize, oh shit, the wizard's still actually like a terrible guy. That was all just a bunch of
Right.
showbiz
Bullshit.
as I should have
Right.
expected. At the same time, it's like these shots are going in comparison with like Galinda going down the aisle for her wedding with Fiero and stuff like
Right.
that. And it's like this.
Yeah, that was
comparison of
good.
Light and dark.
That was good.
I fucked with that heavy.
Right. Yeah, as Elphaba was walking down the stairs, Glinda was also like walking down the stairs. That was pretty badass. That was good. That was good stuff. So yeah, she walks in there, finds all these animals, which already hits her hard. But then, what is the final straw? As she comes upon a cage with a familiar goat, Mr. Dr. Dillamond is in this cage, and she asks him if he can speak. He looks fucked up, but then she asks him if he can speak, and all she hears is a bat. So yeah, he can't speak. So that was kind of her real final straw. Was now this was an incredible professor that you guys have now stripped away his ability to speak and thrown in a cage with a bowl of water for like the rest of his life. So yeah, that got me a little bit too. Even though
Yeah.
I don't care for Peter Dinklage, but obviously the character Dr. Doman is a very big character within this world. So that really got me where I was like, oh man, wow, that's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. There was another thing too in her little cabin. I was watching the new Rockstars breakdown I think last night. And something they pointed out I thought was kind of interesting. It's not cool because it's fucked up, but it's a cool little Easter egg, I guess. In Elphaba's little like hideaway cabin kind of thing, she has like the map of Oz, and she has like all these places kind of pinpointed where stuff's going on. And one of the newspaper clippings says like esteemed owl lawyer disappears or something like that. And in this scene, you can see an owl in a cage. So they were like, that's probably the owl. Like that's probably the lawyer.
Okay.
So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool to include. But yeah, so Elphaba is like, fuck this, and turns around, and the wizard's like standing in the doorway, and he's like, hey, hey,
you aren't supposed to be back here.
right. This is all fake. I don't know what you're talking about.
These are all machines, just like my big head.
Right.
These are all machines.
Right. Animatronics.
This again is where it reinforces the idea to me that I have no idea what his true motivations are, because like, still, why do you like? I mean, I guess this is still part of his like plan over the years, and she just kind of happened to stumble upon this. But like, why are you just not like immediately just like, yeah, okay, as part of our deal, I'm gonna let all these animals go
Right.
as well. It's part of our deal.
Right.
But instead, he's like, actually, we'll get to that later after the wedding or whatnot. You know, that's like fine print stuff. I'm like,
Right.
dude, what is your character?
Right. I mean, I guess you could say he was probably hoping that, like, I don't think he was expecting them to never find that out, but he was probably hoping, oh, they'll find that out after I've already, like, been banished and I'm out of Oz, so they can't, like, do anything to me, and they'll just, like, do whatever with the animals. But you would think to make yourself at least maybe look better, which is his big thing, you would think that, yeah, immediately you would say, hey, you're going to get these monkeys, but there's, like, a whole fucking caged up zoo that we also need to let go of. Because then, like, even on a manipulative side, that would even gain Elphaba's trust even more that, oh, wow, this guy, you know, he didn't try and hide that from me. He immediately brought that out. So, yeah, you would think he would have used that either as a manipulation tactic or just in general. But, yeah, he didn't. He's not the brightest tool in the shed, man.
No, he's definitely not. Not the coolest carny of the carnival.
So, Elphaba, you know, this is a pretty cool scene. This is a pure action movie-esque quick scene there where she ain't having none of what the wizard's saying, and she uses like her powers or whatever to open all the locks, and then just looks and just says, "Run."
This was actually like really cool to me as like a line, because it's like all of this time, even like in like the first movie and especially now in the second movie, you are seeing like a bunch of posters with like Elphaba's face on it that just say like "run" when you see the Wicked Witch and stuff like that. So for her to be like saying that, it's like, I'm gonna flip your shit onto you. Now you run. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, so that was cool. So then he does run, and all the animals stampede out and whatnot. And then they break through the door and stampede right into the wedding, which is funny because I'm like, as big as Oz is, why is the wedding pavilion right next to the wizard's office? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's all in the same building. It's like his like chamber. That's where like all the animals are stuffed at. This wedding, I noticed this because I remember this in the first one. The wedding's in the foyer where they first arrive in the first movie. That like entrance room is where the wedding's at. So this whole thing is happening in the same exact building.
Right. But also that they're doing it in the hallway. Like, Oz doesn't have a wedding venue somewhere. That seems unbelievable.
Even like just Emerald City in general. Like, you just like there's got to be somewhere you.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. My bad. Yeah, Emerald City. This is like the rich of the rich. You're telling me they don't have some crazy over the top wedding pavilion somewhere? They got to do this in the front entrance. So
of the Oz's cat. It's fucked up.
Right. So yeah, they all stampede. Chaos ensues. Bo and Yang has like his biggest moment in both movies where he just tries to flutter away some birds. That's like his biggest scene out of both movies.
I don't know, man. I don't think that beats I Don't See Color. I think that's definitely the
That's
best
true. That's true. That is funny.
Both performances.
That is funny. So yeah, the animals stampede out, and then we kind of cut back to Elphaba finally catching up to the wizard, and then Fiero coming in and playing. So I want to ask you, even though you knew he like turns into the Scarecrow, did you know like did you think he was against Elphaba, or did you know like, oh, it's like a double cross, it's a Terry Funk?
Uh, that's the thing, because it's like, I obviously from like the first movie, it's like they're obviously like setting up like later in the movie they're setting up and establishing that like, yeah, he really fucks with Elphaba, but he's just kind of staying with Glinda for now, just because of
Right.
like where he's at with that. But like, it was obviously very well established that that's what they were setting up, and that's where it was kind of leading to. I didn't think
Uh,
it would go like this heavily into it,
uh,
especially because of just like with the Wizard of Oz and having seen that, just all like the shit between Scarecrow and the Wicked Witch.
mhm.
It's like that was one of the confusing things where I didn't really understand how that was going to pan out. But him
Okay.
siding with Elphaba isn't questionable to me. I can definitely see that, especially with everything
Right.
they did in the first movie to set that up.
I think the idea, I don't think they portrayed this very well, and I don't remember if they portray this very well on stage. But I think the idea is that when he shows up in the first movie, he's obviously this like over the top, cocky, kind of arrogant, pretty boy who is like royalty. He's like the prince of the Winkies or whatever the fuck, which is a crazy name. Um,
I forgot
so
he
like
was the prince of
yeah, or of Winky Country, whatever the fuck.
yeah, whatever the hell.
So the idea is that he's kind of like this egotistical, charming, suave dude. So I think the idea is that his character, like, it would be believable that the stuff happens with Glinda because, like, his character would want to do whatever to be on top. You know what I'm saying? Be popular, be the star of the show. So him dating and then marrying like the pretty much the fucking like queen of Emerald City at that point, like, would make sense. But then he turns, you know what I'm saying, and sides with his true love. But I just don't think they do a good job of portraying that. They should have found a better way to kind of portray that idea.
Well, I that's kind of like my kind of reason there is I think you're maybe thinking it's more of like a sort of almost sinister double cut. Where to me it's like they already kind of like set up and established in the first movie that it's like he's kind of letting his like cocky arrogance kind of like go down because he's actually like
Right.
starting to side with Elphaba and fucking with like her vision of just like, yeah, all these animals need to have like personalities and stuff like that. So it's like kind of almost like a character switch inside of Fiero to where he
Right.
sides with Elphaba. So it didn't really, it made more sense to me. I think is what I'm trying to say.
But yeah. So then the wedding's ruined. Turns and he says he's going with Elphaba, and they basically take off. And then we get a little a reprise or reprise. I'm not sure exactly what they said, but for "I'm Not That Girl," which obviously was in the first movie that Elphaba sings when she kind of realizes that Fiero is going to be with Glinda and whatnot. Now we have it flipped to where now Glinda is singing I'm Not That Girl" in her kind of destroyed wedding ceremony, because now obviously Elphaba and Fiero are together and she's not. I thought it was pretty good. I will say, Ariana Grande, man, she's going through it in this movie, bro. She
Yeah.
cries almost every scene. Ariana Grande's character is crying in this damn movie.
Yeah.
So I will give her those props because that takes you good? Oh, you lost.
I lost my
You lost the bud. He lost the bud. What the hell is Kermit doing back there,
Buddy
dude?
down. Buddy down.
What the hell is Kermit doing back there? Is he getting wicked?
He's doing a fucking headstand? It's not
Okay.
his hands, he's on his head. So
He's
headstand.
breakdancing.
He's breakdancing.
So yeah, I will give her the credit that takes an immense amount of skill to cry because we know these scenes are not filmed once. You know what I'm saying? These scenes take days, if not weeks, to film just one scene. So if they had Ariana Grande showing up and every day for like 12 hours she's consistently crying and crying and crying, that's impressive. So I will give her credit for that for sure.
Yeah. To me, like I think she was the star. If like Elphaba is the star of the first one, I think she's definitely the star of the second one. For sure.
I've seen people say that this is really Glinda's movie, whereas the first one is more Elphaba's movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
I'm not sure if I fully agree with that. I think she definitely is more prevalent, but I'm not sure if I feel like it's still, from my point of view, I feel like it's still pretty equal on both of them. But yeah, then we get we're getting yeah, there you go. You gotta mute the sirens. It's gonna get a little spicy now because Elphaba and Fiyero head back to the woodsy cabin, and it gets hot and heavy, man. It gets hot and heavy. What else can I say? Yeah, no, it's more of this. It's more of this. There you go. They were docking.
Can we talk about that bum ass cardigan she was wearing? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, that was hilarious. Her
That
Target
shit was
cardigan.
ugly, bro.
I thought so.
God.
I saw somebody say this on Twitter before the movie, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And they were like, the woman that Elphaba is, the idea that she showed up to her best friend's wedding with that lingerie set underneath her clothes. That shit had me dying, bro. Because it was true. Because we don't see her change into that. We see her take her dress off and then put on a cardigan. So that means she was wearing like some kind of lingerie underneath all that. So she rolled up to the wedding.
Rolled up there to get Fiyero one way
Right.
or another.
right. She knew what was about to go down. So I was like, damn, that is kind of wild. So yeah, she puts on her little cardigan from Target, which I thought was fucking hilarious because it looks like even the lingerie fit looks kind of like pieced together and stuff like that. Yeah. And they tried to do that with the cardigan, but it generally still just looks like something that they picked up at Target for like $20. It
just looked like almost raggedy. I was like, what
right.
the hell?
So I thought that was funny, but then we kind of kick into "As Long as You're Mine," which is not a song that from the stage production that I've ever cared about, but I was fucking with it here. I thought they do a great job. This is really the only song
I didn't care for it
that Jonathan Bailey sings, so maybe that's why I cared for it. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good as they're kind of chasing each other around a little bit, kind of playing some cat and mouse, and then they end up kind of flying a little bit, a little floating behind above the bed, and then the line that almost made us walk out of the whole movie was Elphaba saying, "For the first time, I actually feel wicked," and then it just cuts to the next scene. That
we need to talk about it. We need to talk about
yeah.
This movie is so punny and like overly self-referential.
My keep talking. My camera's about to die again. I forgot to plug it in.
It was so like annoying. Like at the first few times, I was like, okay, I see what you did there. Little funny joke referencing, but it was like every 20 minutes they were saying something that was like referencing either this movie or last movie or just something in general. It's like I was like, holy shit! I was like, this is almost like Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze levels of just like puns and references. I was like,
right.
I can't take much more of this.
Right. All right, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think somebody too pointed. They took notes after like this is somebody on Twitter I saw. This is like the fourth time or something like that they had seen the movie, and so at this point they're just watching it just for fun and stuff like that. And so they took notes on how many times each character says the word clock tick, and
that too.
Elphaba alone says it like 8 times or something like that in the movie. I think Glinda says it like 4 times. Fiyero says it once. Madame Morrible says it once. Like, that's a crazy amount of
they're
word.
Really trying to make this stick on the wall, and it's like, stop trying.
Right. I mean, I guess that's their version of saying like, give us a second, because a clock tick would be like a second each time.
It's
but like
slang, but it's so forced.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Yeah, so there is some intently misused amount of puns and words and things like that. So yeah. Whoa, hey now.
Headset.
So yeah, they wake up in the morning. Clearly they did the dirty. Clearly they did the deed. Wyatt made the joke. Again, Mr. Jokester here in the middle of the damn movie. It just made the joke to us going.
You were trying to joke your way all through Superman. I don't want to hear shit about.
Yeah, but at least I'm funny when I do it. At least I get a laugh most of the time out of you. But he just leaned over to us and goes, "What color is it?" To which neither of us laughed at all.
I think I may have honestly blocked that out. I don't.
Yeah, he did. I heard him say, "What color is it?" Which is hilarious because in the book,
it's probably
no. In the book,
no?
In the book, it's canonized. They actually do say what color Elphaba's deal is. It's purple, apparently.
You know what?
So,
yeah, sure. Why not?
Go off, Queen. Go off, Queen.
Do you, man? Whatever.
Purple's my favorite color, so I ain't mad about it. All right, so clearly, yeah, they wake up. They had done the dirty in the morning, and they kind of set off on
purple lipstick on.
Right. they got to set off on whatnot. So Elphaba leaves. Fiero also leaves, but Fiero's like going through the damn. Oh,
Storm.
the storm. Yeah, my bad. So yeah, the storm is a coming. This is something that they talk about in the scene after Elphaba leaves Oz or leaves the Emerald City. They talk about how to get her back, how to snuff her out, and they kind of settle on Nessa Rose, which is a Glinda thing, which is insane. That Glinda is the reason.
She was heartbroken. She was filled with like just sadness and rage. She was getting pulled to the dark side. It is
right. So Madame Marble uses her powers. For once, actually does something with those powers, to conjure up a tornado, a twister, which conveniently just picks up a random house from Kansas and flings it onto Nessa Rose, which might be fucked up, but that was a scene I did laugh at when she looks up and the house is coming flying at her and she looks up and just screams "Bach," and then it just like cuts to black. That shit had me laughing, and then it cuts to Elphaba kind of like waking up and jolting and freaking out a little bit,
so
or whatever it was.
That. One, I had no idea that that's actually how like the Twister and the like house like came to be, because I was just like, okay, yeah, just Twister picks up the house and just takes it to Kansas or the Eyes and whatever. But knowing that was like Miss Marvel, I'm like, first off, that makes more sense for like the whole magic sort of gimmick that this universe has, but also at the same time, fuck Miss Madame Marble.
Madame Marble, yeah.
Just the true Wicked Witch of all of like Oz, pretty much. Secondly. Right. Originally, I didn't understand why they nobody helped their governor get out of the storm, especially when she's in a wheelchair. But now that we were talking about just like her shutting down travel, I'm like,
she's a dictator, bro.
Yeah, she's a dictator. Leave her outside. It's not our problem. I was like, yeah,
right. Yeah. So that happens. So that's where they set off. It's because now she's trying to go find her sister, whereas Fiero is kind of walking through the storm and stuff like that. He comes across the monkeys, Chistery and the rest of the monkeys, and it seems like they kind of make a deal. We don't see that. They just kind of give each other a nod. And then it cuts to Munchkinland, where Glinda is bidding farewell to a familiar face, Miss Dorothy Gale. Not a face, a familiar dress.
Back of the head.
Right, a familiar dress and hair, and a familiar dog, a definite familiar dog. Miss Dorothy Gale and Toto, which Glinda calls Dodo, off on her adventure. So this is where, the Wizard of Oz officially really kicks in now. The start of, Wizard of Oz in Oz has kind of begun here. So yeah, she's off on her adventure, and then we get a scene with Glinda mourning Nessa Rose, which again, they didn't really know each other. So that was kind of
misplaced.
Right. I mean, again, there is the flashback, so maybe we're supposed to just assume that over the time, before Defying Gravity, that they were friends. But it doesn't. Even in the first movie, though, it doesn't seem like a lot of time passes. So it's kind of hard to believe that they, were best all like what 5 of them or whatever, were like all best of friends and a friend group going to the movies and da da da. It doesn't make much sense. So yeah, it felt a little outplaced. But then Elphaba shows up, which is more placed because that would make sense even if they didn't agree with each other. They were still family and they still loved each other. So she kind of mourns her for a second, and then these two get into a fight. They get into a little bit of a tussle, a little bit of a cat fight, which was a pretty funny scene. Ariana Grande, I think we said in the first movie, is a comedian and she was hilarious. And it carries over here because this is a scene, probably peak comedy for Glinda in this movie, where they're fighting and she's just making so many random noises, and the Elphaba does the witch cackle, and then Glinda's like, what is that? What is it? Like, where did you get that from? That was good. Her swinging the thing like Darth Maul was also funny. And then her being like, screw that, and being like, come on, use your fist, bro, use your fist. Giant racial slur for sure was thrown here when she says, "Let's go, Greenie." That, to me, instantly I was like, that seems racially motivated for sure. Right. But I guess
more than most people how much that actually upsets her.
And right.
So that's crazy.
Right. So that did seem pretty racist. But honestly, it didn't seem like it really affected Elphaba, so she probably was like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, that was a fun scene, a good scene, really funny scene for sure. Because this movie is definitely darker than the first one. So there you still do need that comedy so it's not fully fucking depressing for 2.5 hours. So getting scenes like that was a treat. And again, Ariana definitely shines in those kind of comedic scenes. I think we were saying how she's cast in the next Fockers movie, and we definitely want to see that because we know she's gonna be hilarious in that movie too. So yeah, so they get in their little tussle, and then Fiyero arrives. Well, the guard arrives, like all the rest of the Oz guards arrive, and they're gonna capture Elphaba. Fiyero arrives with the monkeys, and kind of gets out of it and whatnot. Tells Elphaba to leave because he's got his gun drawn. I thought it was a great way to say it too, where he was saying you can let her go, or you can explain why you guys watched as Glinda basically got fucking murdered, which was big because that's his former fiance now that he's basically saying he would shoot in cold blood. So yeah, that was wild, but that was such a he's got to do what he's got to do to get out of that. Yeah, so Elphaba, she doesn't want to leave, but she reluctantly leaves, and this is where it kicks in. This is my favorite segment of the movie. My favorite, probably 10 minutes of the movie here is where she leaves. The guards kind of attack Fiyero and grab him. To Glinda immediately starting to freak out and being like, "Stop! Please stop! You're hurting him."
You forgot one of the best parts of that scene is when Elphaba finally leaves. Fiyero still has the gun drawn on him.
Oh yeah.
And Glinda just walks right up to him, pretty much like an inch away from the gun, just being like, "Do it, just do it." And he finally this is "No, I can't do it." And then that's when the guards attack him and stuff like that. Drag him off.
And and she's freaking out, and he apologizes and says he's so sorry. Man, yeah, I started getting goosebumps because I knew what was happening, I knew it was coming, but then the music starts kind of kicking in a little bit, so I had some goosebumps when they dragged him off and Glinda screams Fiyero. So in the stage production, this is one of my big flaws of the movie. Out of what is many, this is probably my number one, and it might seem dumb, but because I do love this song so much, in the stage production, right? She screams Fiyero, the music kicks in, and basically as that part of the stage blacks out, and she's still screaming Fiyero, Elphaba comes from a lift from under the stage, and she's also screaming Fiyero. So it transitions so seamlessly, and that's not in here. They cut out and they cut out Elphaba screaming Fiyero. So that was I was like, man, I'll send you the video of it so you could see. But I was like, nah, man, that was what I was hoping for, and they cut it out. So I was like, damn, because it is really good. But still, in general, Elphaba is flying she's flying to Camo Cove for the first time, to her little castle, and yeah, no good deed kicks in, and she's trying to find the spell. I just love how, and same thing with the original version and stuff like that, how anxious she is, what I'm saying, because clearly the love of her life is being tortured. So the trembling in her voice when she's trying to read the spell and all that stuff it's so good, it's so emotional. She's trying to read the spell in the song and whatnot, and that moment where she's like, what am I even reading? I don't even know, is he already dead? That it's so good, the mental kind of panic that she's in, and then it just kicks off from there. She goes fully into No Good Deed, and I thought Cynthia Erivo killed it. I thought her vocals on that are fucking incredible.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best songs of the movie for sure. Definitely the biggest song, I'd say, of this movie for sure. One thing I really don't care for, I know you kind of brought it up a little bit earlier, one thing I didn't too much care for was the actual transformation scene from Fiyero to Scarecrow. I didn't really care for it as much as I did with Fox, because it's very almost far away and grainy. I honestly could not tell what was actually really happening, because it honestly didn't look like anything was happening to Fiyero other than being beat up and strung up on the thing that Scarecrow's, whatever that's called.
So in the stage version, I don't even think we see that. I think honestly, you see you see him when Glinda is screaming Fiyero in the beginning of it, you see him strung up on the pole, but he's he's already blacked out. But then they I think they take him off screen or whatever. So you don't see any of the actual transformation of him at all. So they probably were trying to stay true to that in a sense, but at the same time, you do have to kind of show something, because if not, people would be completely confused,
Right. That's exactly where I'm at because I was completely expecting a transformation, just like Bach, but
Right.
then it just didn't happen.
Right. But yeah, the whole number in itself is very grand, very big. This is the defying gravity of part two for sure. This is like the big number. Yeah, I thought it was really good, especially that last shot where she's like flying in the air and she's got like 50 fucking monkeys on each side of her and shit.
Yeah.
That was fire. That was fire. And this is clearly such a pivotal moment for her character because this, like I said earlier, this is where she's finally. She's not giving in to being the Wicked Witch, but she's almost giving in to the idea. Like, okay, and she says it in the song. This is what these people want from me. Then I'll show them the Wicked Witch. Then that's what I'll be. You know, it's so good, man. It's such a good song, such an epic song, but also such a pivotal moment for her character. You know, it's her breaking point.
Yeah.
So it's very good. Um, yeah, very very good. And then we kind of get quick shots of well, we have the shot of like the wizard in his office being distraught and Madame Morble saying you've got visitors, and he's saying no, I'm not accepting any visitors. And then you hear, well, this is some girl from a place called Kansas. And then it's like, oh, okay, all right, this is it. And then we get quick shot because again they are trying to they wanted to not show Dorothy's face, but at the same time now too you don't want to show Fiero's face, so it's like they had to shoot it in a certain way, so that you really only see like kind of their hands or like their backs and stuff like that. What did you think of the Dorothy situation of them not showing her face?
You know what? I think initially I wasn't too big on it, but kind of how they did Dorothy overall in this movie, I'm not actually against it because to me it's like this to me and the Wizard of Oz, like obviously like this Wizard of Oz and Wicked are supposed to be like taking time in like the same place and stuff like that. But to me, those two like film franchises are like separate universes.
Right.
To me,
This is like an alternate universe.
yeah, this is like an alternate universe. So it's like them having their own version of Dorothy, even if we don't see her face, I'm completely fine with that. I have no problem
Right.
with that.
And John Drew did say like they did that, they did that for a reason. And he just said like he didn't want it makes sense because Dorothy is not the main character. So I feel like if you
Right.
you show her face and stuff like that, then people are honestly, just immediately going to start caring more about Dorothy than they probably do about the rest of the characters. But also he did say like whatever version of Dorothy is like your version, which obviously most people's is Judy Garland, but there are other iterations and whatnot. He was like, whatever version of Dorothy is your version is the version that we want you to see kind of when you see this movie. So obviously putting an actual face to it, you can't do that. So like I thought it was a good idea. And like Grace kind of said before she saw the movie that she was hoping they didn't show the face because she doesn't really want to see anybody else as Dorothy. It's like she kind of only wants to see Judy Garland. So
Yeah.
I'd imagine when Grace went and saw the movie, she was just picturing Judy Garland standing in those
It
scenes.
also works very well because then it sort of like differs Dorothy as a character from this to where Dorothy is now kind of more so just a force
Right.
against Elphaba, which I also really kind of fuck with in a
Right.
literary sense.
Right. So yeah, he tells them go find go bring me back the broom and da da da. So then we get March of the Witch Hunters, which kicks in. This song I've always fucked with. This is out of the whole thing. It's not one of my favorites, but out of part two, this is probably like my second favorite song, even though it is very short. But I've always thought it was good because it's just so intense and so like almost offensive. Like it's so over the top in the fact that they're marching to her death, and they perfectly, without saying anything, kind of show that when you see Fanny and Shen Shen walk outside, and they're the ones that were bullying her in the first movie were like, holy shit, and you see the girl Shen Shen literally cover her mouth, and they're both like, oh my god, I can't believe this is what's happening right now. Which again, they were the bullies in the first movie, so they're the ones that you would think are jumping on this train. They'd be leading the charge, right? But if anything, even though they were the bullies, they knew her. They know deep down that she's not bad because they know her from school. So the fact that maybe they were just going along with this stuff so that they could stay in a high place and their friend stays in a high place. But now once we get to a point where we're gonna go kill somebody, that's where even these bullies are like, okay, we can't get behind this. This is fucked. So I thought that was so perfect without them saying anything. Just that, and it's literally like 1 second shot of them doing it.
Was a great
But it's
shot.
such a pivotal part of the movie because you really see now now people are starting to turn against this idea, even the people that should be fully on board with it. You know, so I really like that. Really, it's just them chanting like the wicked must be punished and stuff. But then Bach or Tin Man kicks in, and this is what I love. I thought I was nervous because in the musical, like in the stage, it's pretty good. So I was a little nervous that he was gonna pull it off, and his is very different. But I fucked with it because his has aggression. The stage version is just like singing. His was more like yelling, and I thought, oh, I had goosebumps. I was like, okay, that fucking cooked when he said like, you know, he's got a personal score, and I love how it's in the stage production where he says he's got a personal score to settle with Alpha, and he stops himself and says the witch because it's like even at that, even when he's mad at her for what happened, he still doesn't want to fully like out her. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to like dox her. So I thought that was such a good moment, and then yeah, he just had such like aggression and anger in his performance there.
I didn't really care too much for this song. I gotta be honest, just because it's like I get what they were trying to do, and like plot wise it makes sense, especially with like Tin Man's case of where he's just like super angry and stuff like that, and he really just wants to get like revenge for what has happened to him and whatnot. But I think for a similar case of like the Judy Garland and like Dorothy situation, it's like I kind of already have this like preconception of
Right.
who the Tin Man is and what the Tin Man is, and just seeing this complete 180 in where he is just a like monster of rage.
If I only had a heart.
It makes sense for the plot of this movie and like this universe, but like
Right.
it's just so different from the Tin Man that I'm like used to and that I like, that it's just like I just wasn't vibing too much with it. Especially with like the Cowardly Lion being right next to him. This also goes back to my problem of why I hate the Cowardly Lion in this movie, even though he's my favorite character in the whole universe. Of just like it ruined it because now he's just like completely on board with this whole situation. He's like, yeah, but it's like,
Right. I was trying. I was a little distracted in the scene too because I was trying to see if I could see Fierro, because he's obviously there. So I was trying to. I was like, can I see his face reveal? Can I see what he fully looks like? But they do a. There was literally like half a second where I could kind of see his full body, but the rest of it he is pretty. And like the large shots, he'll be kind of in the large shots, but a lot of the close up shots they made sure to not put him in. But yeah, I thought it was good, and you know we're coming to an end here. You know what I'm saying? We're really. It's all or nothing at this point. So right, so they're off to see, not the wizard. They're off to see Elphaba. They're right. So yeah. Oh, my last thing of March of the Witch Hunters. I really enjoyed the shot where Tin Man looks over his shoulder and sees Glinda standing on her balcony, and just has like all this hate in his heart, because in reality, like yes, Elphaba. I mean, he is the catalyst of all this because, again, there was no inkling that she was going to be in love with him and stuff like that. And Elphaba is the one that does this. But in his mind, this all starts with her because he's in love with her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if he wasn't in love with her, he would not be this. So I thought that was a really good shot of him looking up and just being like completely kind of enraged with her. And I saw people being like, she don't even know who that is. But I'm like, I feel like she did. I feel like she probably like was looking at him, and they don't like show that. She doesn't really give like a look or anything like that. But I just feel like she probably could tell, like, is that Bach? Like, what, you know what I'm saying? I feel like she could tell that that's that kid from school.
I agree. I really fucked with that shot too.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the better shots for me personally in the movie.
Right.
Along with like
for sure.
others, but that I
right.
fucked with, because it's still just like, oh shit, I knew this guy in school. Oh shit, there's the love of my life. Blah, 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 blah. Almost to like
right.
almost in a way where it's almost like a Romeo and Juliet situation where she's all the way up here and he's all the way down. And they're just looking at each other.
Right.
But it's just like not meant to be.
Right. And then we go into, we only have two songs left here. We go into The Girl in the Bubble. This is my least favorite song in both movies.
Was slow. This shit
yes.
was so fucking slow.
I could not wait for this to end, bro. I was like, holy shit.
Kept going. I liked some of the cinematography and how they like did like some of the mirrors and stuff like that, where it would like pan out from the mirror and being like the next shot, and it's like her moving on from the mirror and stuff like that. But other than that, I was like, this shit needs to go, bro.
Yeah, and I was bored. I was doing that. I was literally doing that. I was yawning during that scene. But I was watching. I don't know whose TikTok this was. I saw last night. Somebody was talking about it, and they were not a big fan of the movie. And they had such a good point about this song. They were like, yes, it was boring and slow, but it also just sucks as a song because it's like, Glinda has been given everything she's ever wanted. Like, grew up very spoiled and has, and was the popular girl. She's literally lived like the greatest life she could live. But this whole song is her singing about how she's never getting what she wants. And so it's like this like does not help her character at all.
Right.
This actually
Yeah.
kind of assassinates her character for any growth that she goes through in these movies. Because she just goes back to square one of being like, yeah, I'm gonna ignore the fact that I've been spoiled and gotten everything I want, but because my fiance doesn't love me, I guess I just never get anything I want ever in my life. Sucks. So it's like, yeah, that doesn't add up to me.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree.
But we get a scene with her and Madame Morrible where they kind of argue about what was going on and and she realizes she needs to go try and help Elphaba before it's too late. So she straps on some riding boots and puts on her Luke Skywalker cloak and hops on a horse and starts heading towards Kiamo Cove, which was a big topic of discussion in the first trailer, everybody, and even in the first movie, because that's shown her leaving Kiamo Cove in the beginning of the first movie or whatever. But we just saw a hooded figure on a horse. So that was a big topic of discussion over the past year of who was that? Was that Elphaba? Was that Glinda? Was that Fiyero? Was that somebody else? So that was a big topic of discussion. So we finally do get it revealed that it was Glinda the whole time. So she goes to Kiamo Cove. They kind of meet back up. They kind of argue a little bit, but then they kind of... Oh, we do get a scene, which I thought was hilarious, of Elphaba yelling at Dorothy, being like, if you want to see your Annie whatever, again, get those damn shoes off, and like slams the door. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. Which also calls back to Wizard of Oz, where she kind of does that too. So I thought that was very funny. And then yeah, we get the reuniting again of these two characters, and then they kind of sing for good. I'm not gonna lie, this is the title track, right? This is the movie's called Wicked for Good. This is the biggest song in the movie. And I did feel some emotion. I did, we both kind of were like, oh, all right, yeah, we feel it, but I didn't really care for this version of the song, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really like, because obviously there was like a little bit of emotion in there, but I didn't really start tearing up until it was like after
the end. Right.
Yeah, the end, yeah. But like,
right.
throughout, I was just like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I feel like I should be feeling more emotional, but I'm not. What?
Right, that's exactly what I felt. Especially, again, I have such a connection to that song and this whole musical. So I thought fully, like, when I was going into this movie, I thought, oh, I'm going to be a blubbering mess. I should have brought some tissues during For Good. And I kind of was just literally just watching it. Like, I you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until
like,
towards the end of that scene. Right. It wasn't towards the end of that scene, which, one scene specifically I'll get into. Yeah, I didn't really feel it. I fully... The Idina Menzel, Kristen Chenoweth version of this song is way more emotional for me, for sure.
Yeah, it really. And again, this is also like, I feel like this is like a 6-minute song. This one also kind of goes on for a little bit long too.
Because they take like breaks, like they'll start singing and then like they stop and they'll talk for like 2 minutes and then they'll like go back into the song, which doesn't happen in the stage production. I'm pretty sure just the full song for like 6 minutes or whatever it is. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mess too much with it. I mean, obviously it is emotional, so obviously it is an important song, but like musically wise, I didn't care for it too much.
Right.
It's not really until after when it's like they finally like realize, okay, yeah, we gotta have to like go our separate ways and whatnot, and this is kind of like our last time seeing each other and whatnot. It's really when that door shuts.
When they were singing For Good, there was a point where you leaned over to me and you were like, Dorothy's still trapped in that cellar while they're doing this. And I laughed. And then I quit back at you. I go, yeah, and currently the Tin Man, Scarecrow, and Cowardly Lion are pretending to be guards trying to get into this place right now, too. Which is also hilarious.
And they're just like singing their hearts out to each other.
Right.
And all this other silly stuff is happening on the side.
Right. Yeah, so they kind of say their goodbyes after the song. And what you were getting to. The part where she kind of shuffles Glinda into that like closet and shuts the door, and we have that shot of the door in the middle of the screen, and they're both on each side and start crying. That's when I started crying. That's when I got very emotional.
I was like, yep, this is it. This is the tear moment right here. This is what I've been doing for the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, that definitely got me for sure. because they just showed so much emotion in that scene too, which amplifies
and they
how we
hold
feel.
it. They hold it.
Right,
Like
right.
they really
And
make you work for it.
and right before Elphaba shuts the door, she tells her like, "It's gonna be okay, I promise you," and then shuts the door. So that whole 2 minute scene of that was the most emotional moment probably in the whole movie for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So and then she kind of runs off, and we kind of see from Glinda's point of view through the crack in the door, which I thought was a great way to kind of portray it. And they do that again in the stage production. That's kind of how they do it, like not through a crack in the door, obviously, but I think the way they do it is like Glinda is on like the front of the stage, and there's a giant like tarp on the stage, and then Elphaba kind of runs behind that, so it's supposed to. You could see the like in the movie how you see the shadows on the wall. You see that on the tarp, so you don't actually see it happening. You just see the silhouette of it happening, which I think is good, and I think transcending that into the movie, they did a good job with kind of portraying it on the wall. I thought that was really, and there were some shots of like you see Dorothy's shoes, you see her grab the bucket. So I thought they did a really really good job with that too. And then she does her over the top kind of I'm melting da 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 and disappears, and then you see Glinda kind of she has to stop herself, but she's clearly very affected by what watching her best friend just get murdered. So yeah.
She also gets shy. I have to like sit there and like even like wait it out just to make sure that, like
Right.
gone. So she has to sit there
Right.
for a good few minutes, just like
Right.
toiling with all this like emotion of like losing her best friend and whatnot. But yeah,
But then
going back to like the shadow thing, I really fucked with that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, she does come out of the closet, no pun intended. And she just kind of sees the hat. She just sees the hat, and goes up, and she's in the puddle, and she's hugging the hat. But there's the vial. There's a little green vial next to that hat. So she's kind of mourning and crying and holding that. And Chistery comes back in and says,
Just
Miss
filling shit up.
Miss Glinda, and hands her the green vial. To which Glinda is like, she's a little confused, but I think she's also putting the pieces together because she consistently sees the wizard drinking out of a green vial and stuff like that. So then they all head back to the Emerald City.
He offers
Right,
it to her. He's like,
right.
You want some of this? This it goes down easy.
Right. So she goes back to the Emerald City and confronts him, and kind of exposes the fact that what happens.
Oh, you're asking.
Go. Yeah.
It is revealed that Elphaba is actually his daughter the entire time.
Bum, bum, bum. Yep. Which I mean, I obviously again knew, but even in the first movie, they don't do a good job of hiding that. And I think you said that you like, even before you saw this movie, you were like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure the wizard's her dad," because like that guy in the first movie looks suspiciously like Jeff Goldblum. So
Yeah.
I will say they must have run out of the CG budget at this point with the movie, because he looked horrible. The young version of Jeff Goldblum looked fucking horrible. PS2 graphic-esque fucking CGI. Like shit. It was bad. Not good. So yeah, and then yeah, that's revealed, and now he is instantly like, "Oh my god, what have I done? I just got my daughter killed." Yeah, and so then Glinda girl bosses the rest of the last like 15 minutes of the movie, and just kind of tells him he'll be leaving, tells Madame Morble she'll be fucking imprisoned, and the monkeys come and grab her. Yeah, she just kind of girl bosses it the fuck up. We do see a quick shot of the wizard leaving and Dorothy chasing after it, so I thought that was good too, because that still again shows us that they're we're still coinciding with the Wizard of Oz here. Which I saw somebody also say like, so like does that mean like Dorothy's just trapped there? I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure the red shoes thing still happens. It's just those shoes they're enchanted shoes, so I'm sure even in the Wizard of Oz where it's a dream, I don't actually think it was a dream. I think that's just the way it ends up, but I think she does use the shoes to transport herself back home. So I would imagine she just does the same thing in this movie. So yeah. Kind of wrapping up here. She imprisons Madame Morble, and then we kind of see, the desert, right? Is that where we go? We just go to the.
I'm pretty sure it's like it's Theo. Scarecrow comes back and
Oh yeah, yes. He comes back to Camel Cove.
The floor.
Right. Gets her out of the floor. We see him, and he looks like Ryan Reynolds mixed with a Muppet. Um, and
Super funny.
yeah,
Super fucking
yeah.
funny. That was the last
And then
time
they
Wyatt laughed.
they kind of just head out. They walk out. She does turn back and contemplate should she take her hat with her, and she decides against it. And yeah, they just kind of leave, head out to the desert, which is where the animals were clearly going earlier in the movie. So yeah, they head out to the desert to try and find another place that isn't Oz. And yeah, then we kind of at the same time, Elphaba kind of turns around and looks at the sky, and at the same time, Glinda is back at like the hot air balloon kind of tower area, and goes up there, which is clearly all fucked up and shit from Defying Gravity. Yeah, and they just kind of like have a moment. They have a Grease moment where it's like they're both on the screen at the same time, but in different places. I don't think it's them sensing each other. I think it's just them thinking of each other. Yeah, I don't think it's them sensing each other. It's more so probably just them like thinking of each other. But then Glinda has the Grimoire on like a little table, and the Grimoire kind of opens and puts itself into a page for a spell. I've seen mixed reactions to this. If is it her being able to read it, or was this Elphaba sending her a message saying that she's kind of still alive? I feel like it's just Glinda being able to finally read it.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. Yeah.
Because I do feel like if Elphaba was sending her a message she's still alive, I feel like Glinda would probably try and find where she goes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel like it's just. But also the Grimoire kind of has like a mind of its own, right? So like, she might be able to read it, but I feel like the Grimoire may have done that on its own to try and help her, feel better or something. I don't know, but I don't think it was Elphaba. I don't think she had anything to do with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. One of my more bigger gripes actually with the whole movie itself, and this may just be with the story of Wicked in general, maybe not specifically the movie, but like, I don't like that Elphaba's still alive. I feel like it just makes more sense for her to still just be dead as her, like the Wizard of Oz and whatnot, but like her still being alive to me, I'm like, it really like defeats the purpose of the movie if she's trying to escape death and then she just like doesn't die.
I disagree. I feel like she's been over 2 movies. She's been bullied and criticized and ridiculed by people, and her like that was her winning in the end. Was her coming up with this plan to, what I'm saying? So I feel like that was it makes sense to me that that's how she wins in the end, is by fooling everybody, and then she goes off to live her life with her scarecrow husband.
I fully understand it from like a plot perspective. Like I get that that's supposed to be the plot. Like she is supposed to win. Like I get that, but like still, I just, me personally, I'm just like, I feel like it's more impactful, especially in like Galinda's case, if she is just like legitimately dead.
Yeah, but the last shot of this movie, it goes back as they're kind of thinking of each other. It goes back to that flashback scene of them in like the prairie kind of area, whatever it is, the grassland.
Yeah. Dream.
Them all hanging out, and the closing shot I thought was so good. I didn't even know that this was going to be what they did. The closing shot, they recreate the original poster, the playbill poster for Wicked, the musical, the stage production. That I got goosebumps when I realized, like when she leaned in like that, the hairs on my arm, I was like, holy shit, they're okay. So that was really cool to see. I'm glad. Right.
I made that joke like a dozen times that movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I was glad they did that, and that was beautiful. Not only to close out the movie, but just a beautiful tribute to obviously what started all of this. So really, really cool. Yeah, and then it cuts to the credits. So yeah. Is there anything else you wanna talk about? Because it's like there's more that we can talk about. Because me and Wyatt were talking about it a little bit, and he said his gripe with this was that the first movie is a story within its own, right? It has no connection to the Wizard of Oz other than the universe, right? But it's its own thing. He said his biggest gripe was that this second movie started off on its own, and then it shoehorned in a 100-year-old movie that he just felt like that's where it went wrong, where he was like, this is just starting to... He just said it felt very forced, and it went off its track of being its own movie into trying to force in the Wizard of Oz.
I kind of agree with that to an extent. I mean, like, obviously, I do still think it does a very good job of keeping itself on its own track, but like, there is like, again, back to like the point of over like self-referential stuff to both the last movie and the Wizard of Oz. It really just tries to shoehorn a lot of this stuff in. And again, I do still agree with the take of just like keeping Dorothy's face out of it, but like, she's still there and present and acting as
Right.
the impending doom of Elphaba to an extent. But
Right.
yeah, I still I do kind of agree with him. I didn't really care for that. Was my biggest gripe of the movie, but I do understand where he's coming from with that.
I also agree with him, and this is somebody who loves Wicked, but like again in the stage production, and I keep going back to that, but that is what this is, right? This is what started it was, right? In the stage production, if I remember correctly, the first half is like an hour, and the second half is only like 30 minutes long. So like, I feel like it's easier to digest the Wizard of Oz stuff because it just kind of goes by quick. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes by quick, and it's not as harped on. Whereas I feel like this, and I've seen a lot of people say this, right? The first half of Wicked is like an hour long. The second half is like 30 minutes long. These movies are both like 2.5 hours long. So that means they have to stretch. If the second half is like 30 minutes, 40 minutes long, whatever it is, that means they had to stretch that into like an hour and a half more than what it is. So that's where I think it starts to go wrong. Is like, no, I think it works when it's super short and you can just go, okay, yep, he's the Tin Man, he's the Scarecrow, there's the Lion, and okay, they're off. It makes more sense. Whereas this, it's like you're stretching it out and you're trying to make it more than what it's supposed to be.
It's not even really that much of an issue of. Well, I mean, it is still the issue of they're really stretching this out like a lot. But the problem really is that they're stretching it out, and they're not really adding much of anything substantial.
Right. If they were going to stretch it out, they should have added more stuff for like Bach's character and his story. They should have added more for maybe Fier. Like they should have added more. Definitely, maybe the Cowardly Lion. There should have been a scene or two that shows him in the forest actively being scared of the other animals and stuff like that. Because we literally don't see him until the No Place Like Home, and then we only see him again when he's with Dorothy.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. Yes, he's in the first movie, but he's not in. He's in. You know what I'm saying? He's not in the first fucking movie as a character. He's a plot device in the first movie. So, yeah, they should have. If they were gonna make this long as fuck, they should have expanded upon the side characters maybe a little bit more. I think.
Right. It's like realistically, even if you like didn't do that, what you should have done honestly was just like maybe like dial this down to maybe like 40, 50 minutes and just slap it onto the end of Wicked to make that like 3.5 hours long. To me, that
right. Which I feel like that's what everybody's gonna do anyways. Like I said that in our At a Theater review. I don't know anybody that's gonna only watch. Maybe they'll watch part one, but nobody's gonna just put on part two unless you really, really love this. But chances are, if you're gonna watch any of this, you're just gonna watch both movies back to back. You're just gonna make it like a 4 hour sit down and watch the Wicked movie. You know what I'm saying? It's really not two movies. It's just let's watch Wicked, and you're just gonna put on both movies. You know, that's what I would imagine is the case. So like, Wicked 1 definitely again stands on its own. You could watch that, and then go about your day. But I feel like part two, you can't. Right? You're not gonna just put on part two just to watch. But we definitely are going to have to watch both of these together. Like, we're going to have to watch it all in one run to see if it works in a better sense, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we could be completely wrong. This movie could work perfectly, but it works perfectly when you watch them together, you know?
Yeah.
But watching it, we had a year in between. Even if like, you and I, we just did a review, so we watched it like a week or a couple days before we went and saw it or whatever. But that's still, you still had time in between to forget about it, you know? So I feel like if you watch it all in one run, it might be a little easier to digest, I guess. But, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about.
The only thing I'll really harp back on is just kind of like my score, because I did bring it up in the very beginning that my score has drastically dropped since the Out of Theater review. When we walked out of the theater, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm down to a 5 out of 10 on it.
Okay. Right.
I think as I just kept like thinking about it and sleeping on it and whatnot, I was just like, there's really just not all that much. Like, I really waited like a year for this after Wicked being one of the best movies of last year, and this movie, I don't even know if this is going to be in my top 5 movies of the year, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's just like, I feel like it let me down in a lot.
Yeah, so we obviously have our, we're going to do our first ever Cosmos Award in January for the previous year. And one one of the categories is our favorite movie of the year. I was fully expecting this to be it, and it's not. It's not it. I have a different movie in that spot. So, yeah, I am a bit disappointed. I don't hate the movie or anything like that. I don't think it's even a bad movie. It's just not a movie that I love. And again, if I do ever watch this movie again, it's going to be watching Wicked Part 1 before it.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it was bad, but it's not anything too memorable, but especially compared to the first half. My score, my Letterboxd score, it did also change, but not by much. I think I had it at like a 3.5, and then I think I just switched it to like a 3. Like it's just a solid 3, which to me, that's like pure just middle of the road. Like if I'm giving something a 3 stars, it's just like a pure like, yeah, it's okay. 3.5 is slightly okay. 4 is good. 4.5 is pretty good, and like 5 is obviously goated. And on my Letterboxd, the only movie that has 5 stars, I believe, is Revenge of the Sith. So,
In a league of its own.
right, literally, it's an E tier that stays on its own. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of it, unless there's anything else you wanna add. Oh, I do want to say, something that I think I told you about, so it's not a spoiler for you. There are more books, and in the third book, she does have a kid. Her and Fiyero do have a kid, which I would imagine, he's a scarecrow, so I'd imagine the impregnation happened in As Long As Your Mind, because that's the only time they hook up when he's a human. Right. So we could believe that from the rest of the movie that she is pregnant, and that there could, again, we talked about how this franchise, even if we don't care for the second movie, this is a huge franchise. This movie's making a shit ton of money. They're probably going to explore more of it. So I would be intrigued to see a third movie that does introduce the son of Elphaba and Fiyero. That could be an interesting idea.
I do know that there is a book in this whole like Wicked series that does like star like the Cowardly Lion, which would justifiably make a lot more sense as to why they made such a big deal about who is going to play the Cowardly Lion in this movie, because they're probably going to use him again for that movie if they do that movie. But again, that is dependent on if they do that movie. Which, if they don't, then it was just a complete waste of time.
Right. I know.
Deal about casting him.
So they do. They did make like a. There's obviously other books, but then I know that there's. More recently, they did do kind of like a. This might sound a little weird, but they did like an Elphaba kind of like prequel book. I think that kind of follows more of her life before she comes to Shiz. And Gregory Meyer, I think, is like the writer of these books, or at least of like these versions or whatever. He just announced today, I believe, that he's working on a prequel for Glinda. So that could also be another movie that could be coming down the pipeline. It'd be interesting to see. I know a lot of fans are clamoring for like a Fiyero prequel, which could also be kind of interesting to see where, I'm saying it'd be interesting to see all these characters get kind of prequels to see where they all came from and how they all end up at Shiz University in part 1. Yeah. But yeah, even a third movie with like her son and stuff would also be very interesting to see. So I feel like
I can see it happen.
I feel like there's going to be a bit of a break, but I feel like over the next 10 years, I feel like we're not going to be done with the franchise of Wicked, at least in a movie space.
I could see if they do that movie late 2027 or maybe 2028, somewhere around there, for sure.
But yeah, all right. I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you want to add, but I think we're good.
No, that's it for me.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all watching our bonus little episode here for the month here for Wicked for Good. If you want, go watch our review for Wicked and see what we thought about that. Do what you should do for the movies. Go watch that, and then come back and watch this again and see our full review for the whole kind of franchise there. Shout out the WNRN, which is our gracious podcast hosts. And with that, we will be defying gravity, and we will see y'all next time. Ooh, whoa.